Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming from right here on our YouTube channel. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea, and this is the show where we talk about the things that we love. Movies and movie news, TV and streaming, all that good stuff. And we talk about it in such a way so you get informed, so when you're talking to all your other movie-loving buddies, you sound like you're smarter than them, because that's what it's all about, especially at Christmas season. Making yourself look good. All right. I am not alone today. I am joined, coming to us from the Robservatory, writer, director, producer, one Mr. Robert Meyer Burnett. Robert, how you doing today, sir?
John, it's good to be here. I mean, it's wild. Another Avatar movie is in theaters. There's a trailer for Doomsday. There's all kinds of good stuff happening. We're going to talk all about it.
Yeah, again, a number of things that we're going to go over here today. And as always, good to have you guys here. And here's how today's show is going to go. We're going to start off by talking about a few predetermined topics we got lined up for you guys. Then in the second part of the show, we're going to take your live comments and questions. If you are watching live and you have a thought, theory, opinion, or question you'd like us to address, go ahead and fire it on into our super chats. Go over into the live chat there, click the super chat button, send in a chat. And as long as it's appropriate to be addressed on the show, we reserve the right not to answer something if we don't think it's appropriate for the show. But as long as it's appropriate for the show, we'll address it in the second part of the show. All right, guys. With all that down, let's get things started with this, shall we? Well, as Rob just alluded to, Avatar: Fire and Ash is now in theaters. It is out. It is finally, after years and years of waiting for it, it's now out in the wild. Audiences have gone to see it. And I went to go see it myself. If you guys saw, I did put up my out of theater reaction last night, but I thought now that both Rob and I have seen it, we can talk about it in a non-spoilery way. And I'll just start things off here about Avatar: Fire and Ash. Overall, I thought it was a really enjoyable film. Like, you know me, guys, I'm not the biggest Avatar fan in the world. Like, I've really liked the other movies. I've really appreciated the other films, but I mean, I thought this was a quite enjoyable experience. Now, look, one of the things you guys always hear me say is that movies are experiential events, and different movies will use any one of 100 different elements to deliver an experience to you. And Avatar knows what their tools are. Avatar is very aware of what its set of tools are for creating memorable experiences are. And I thought it was really fun. And listen, this whole criticism too, that I've seen some people have about it, that is, oh, it's too much like the first one. It's the continuation of the story. It's still the Sullys. They're still on Pandora. You still got the Sky People. You still got, I mean, listen, I didn't see anything that was as duplicative from the previous film going into this one than I have in almost any other sequel to a previous film. Anyway, that was just me, so I didn't think that was all that bad. I love the introduction of the Fire People. I thought that was done very well. And listen, this priestess, this head of the Fire Clan, she's an awesome character. Like, I'll say it right now, the best character Avatar's ever had. I think she is singularly the best character that this franchise has ever had. Her motivations are clear. Her drive is scary. Her personality and charisma larger than the screen. I thought she was absolutely terrific. Now, before I talk about a couple of the other things that I really liked, I want to touch on a couple things here, Rob, that I didn't like about the movie.
Sure.
And they're both technical things. Technical thing number one, I really believe this movie should have been about 20 minutes shorter. Like, don't get me wrong. It's not like it's, I don't feel like it super drags at any place or stuff like that. And I'm all for movies exceeding 3 hours if the movie itself calls for it. But watching this film, especially when it got to the end, I thought there were a number of entire sequences in the movie that didn't even need to be there. That could have, not that none of them didn't have any like creative merit or value, but it's like, as I was watching certain scenes, I'm like, this whole scene doesn't need to be here. it could have been edited out and the movie would have flowed just as well. So I didn't think the movie needed to be nearly as long as it was. The second thing I got to say, the high frame rate drove me crazy. It really did. And listen, I have been one of the defenders, not specifically when it comes to Avatar, but I have been one of the vocal defenders of high frame rate. And my argument's always been, we're just not used to a superior image, because that's ultimately what high frame rate is. It's more accurate to life. It's a superior format. But man, I'll tell you, one of the things Avatar does so great is blending in the CG animation with the live action. And when it was in high frame rate, it really highlighted the differences between the CG parts and the live action parts. So like scenes when Spider would be standing in a scene with a couple of Na'vi, when it was in high frame rate, it really looked like it was a live action actor on some kind of blue screen in front of something else. And it just kind of pulled me out. Again, I'm not against high frame rate overall in general, Rob, but I got to say, for me, as somebody who often defends high frame rate in this movie, I thought was a mistake, because whenever it happened, it kind of pulled me out of it. That being said, there are a couple of scenes that I didn't really like, which we can't go into here because this is a non-spoiler review. By the way, guys, this Sunday, we will do an open spoiler discussion for Avatar Fire and Ash. So you guys have a couple of days to get caught up. But on Sunday, we're going to do a full open spoiler discussion for Fire and Ash. Quaritch, I'll tell you what, while the priestess is kind of, I think, the best character they've had so far, Quaritch is kind of becoming the most interesting character in this series. They're giving him a really good character arc and a good character journey. There's an evolution that's happening with him that I got to tell you, I was surprised that I really enjoyed. Because when I first found out they were bringing him back, I'm like, really? But it works. And his character journey, like I said, is turning out to be one of the most interesting in the entire series. The visuals were breathtaking. The world building continues to just be jaw-dropping and inspiring. Things that came before were not suddenly ignored. They build on the things that came before. Again, gonna be in my top 5 favorite films of the year? No. But, and is it my favorite of the Avatar films? No, it's probably my 3rd favorite of the 3. But nonetheless, Rob, for me, a thoroughly enjoyable experience. I was wowed in some places. I thought the story carried, despite the fact that the frame rate stuff drove me crazy. I thought the movie was longer than it needed to be, and a few scenes here and there that I really thought they could have done without. But other than that, to use an old-fashioned phrase, Rob, I had a hoot. I had a hoot watching this movie, and I came out with a smile on my face. Anyway, you've already seen it, and you gave us your thoughts before, but you've had a chance to marinate on it a bit now. What's your overall kind of experience and thoughts with Avatar?
I pretty much echo your sentiment. I mean, like I said, to me, it's Rocky 1 and Rocky 2 I love very, very much. And I love Rocky 3, but Rocky 3 is not Rocky 1 or 2. It's different. And I felt like this had so much stuff in it that I loved. Like, we meet a traveling band of Na'vi traders. They trade with the different tribes,
which we see in one of the trailers. You see their big floating sky things. Yeah, that's in the trailer.
That whole first, I guess, hour, which is one kind of long extended action sequence.
Yeah.
That stuff was jaw-droppingly amazing. And I just loved everything about that whole sequence. And that's when our Mordor Na'vi make their first appearance. And there's so much in this movie, it's almost too much movie. There was so much in it that I love, that any things that, like you pointed out, I don't disagree with you. I did love the high frame rate, only because I thought it was astonishing in terms of, when you're looking at something earthbound in high frame rate, I have a problem with it. But this, I was so enchanted with what I was watching and they would intercut the high frame rate in and out.
Yes.
They would go in and out of things, like when
and you know what? I probably would have preferred it if they had just done high frame rate and kept it, because the switching really, I found jarring. Personally.
It was, I did too. And then when they, like you said, it not really live action, but when they would cut into people the Na'vi interacting, they wouldn't go to the high frame rate. And I understand they did that for, can you imagine For high frame rate, you have double the frames and in 3D. So you
Yeah.
have to render each frame twice. I mean, no wonder this movie got delayed because it was the render times. I can't even imagine how long it took just to render out this movie. I mean, it's unbelievable. But I like you talk about movies being experiential events. These movies are the definition of that.
Yeah.
And when you sit in a theater, man, with did you see it in Dolby Vision?
No, I saw it at that new AMC. AMC has this new theater type called like AMC XL or something like
Oh,
that,
wow,
where it's
okay.
basically like the size of an IMAX screen sort of thing.
Wow,
It
so
was,
you
yeah,
got
it
the
was,
whole
yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's just I sat half the time I just sat there marveling that this movie even exists. These seeing these Avatar movies, my mother, who had no imagination at all, when I was growing up, still doesn't, most pragmatic woman in the world. I'd never seen her. Well, I took her to see Avatar, the first Avatar, in IMAX 3D. And her eyes were as wide as saucers when the movie was over. And she just turns to me and she goes, "How did they do that?" And I'd never seen a sense of awe and wonder on my mom's face. But again, this movie delivers that. And John, I would sit there for 9 hours and watch all of these movies in a theater, straight all three together. I can't wait. Somebody, when is the Avatar trilogy screening happening? Because sign me up.
Yeah, I gotta say, I would too. In a large enough format, not in 3D for me, but I mean, in a large format, I would go and watch a marathon of these things. And again, they're not my favorite films in the world, but they are such fun. They're roller coaster rides, man. I just
Unbelievable.
absolutely, I really
Unbelievable.
enjoy them a lot. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What did you think of Avatar Fire and Ash if you had a chance to go see it so far? I had a really good time watching it. It's not going to end up being in my top 5 films of the year, but I had a great time. Whatever you guys thought about it, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? Ooh, Susu, everybody's got Labubu. According to reports now, this one's coming to us from Joe Blow, one of my favorite sites. Paddington director Paul King, the guy who also directed the wonderful version of Wonka that was out recently with Timothée Chalamet. So Paddington and Wonka director Paul King has signed on to do a Labubu movie. That's right. Labubu is coming to movie screens near you. Now, of course, we heard recently that Sony had picked up the rights to Labubu, and man, they move fast because they locked down Paul King to come in and direct it. And look, I'll get this part out of the way here. Man, if you're going to do a Labubu movie, which I'm not quite sure why, but if you're going to do it, who better to come in and anthropomorphize these things than the guy who directed the Paddington films? By the way, I say this without any irony and with no hyperbole and with absolutely no sarcasm. The Paddington movies are one of the greatest trilogies ever made. I mean, just listen. Now, while he didn't direct the third one, he was involved with the third one, but he stepped away to do Wonka. But he did direct the first two. Look at the scores of the first couple of Paddington movies. Well, first of all, look at all three of them. The first Paddington was unbelievable, 96%. Paddington 2, which if you listen to Nick Cage in The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, it is the greatest sequel of all time. Paddington 2 with a 99% critic score. And even Paddington 3, which was my least favorite of the three, but I still thought it was absolutely delightful and charming.
Yeah.
93%. Again, Paul King didn't direct the third one. He was a producer on it, but he directed the first couple. And of course, Wonka was great. I mean, if you're going to go out and try to do a Labubu movie, why not get the guy who took a movie about a teddy bear? I know Paddington's not a teddy, you know what I'm saying, but to literally take this bear and make one of the greatest movie trilogies of all time out of it, that's the guy you go and get. Now look, there is no denying how popular Labubus have been in our culture. My wife has a number of Labubus. Not only does she have a number of Labubus, she went out and bought individual outfits for those Labubus, including, because you guys know my wife's like a LA Dodgers season ticket holder. She's a huge Dodger fan. Several LA Dodger outfits specifically for her Labubus. Now, she doesn't have like 20 of them like a bunch of people do, but there's a lot of people that do, man. There's a lot of people that walk around, dude, with a lot of Labu hanging off their asses. I mean, even my Anne's guy friends, we have this trio of guy friends who have all grown up with Anne. They've been friends since child school. They're part of the family, including our friends like Ryan and Tommy and Kevin, and even Kevin's got Labubus. They even did a South Park episode recently on Labubus where they were part of a demonic ritual, something that Satan was using to bring down Donald Trump. I can't remember what it was, or to elevate, whichever it was. But even South Park was doing Labubus. But so I get it, Rob, I do. But here's the question that I have. I don't hear or see nearly as many Labubus or talk about Labubus or whatever today than I even did just 2 months ago.
100%.
And I remember when we talked about Sony, that they had picked up the rights to Labubu, I had said, listen, these fad things come in and out so quick. And even if they do decide to make a movie, which now obviously they have, the movie itself will probably be 2 years away once you get into pre-production, production, post-production, then release it in theaters, 1.5 years, 2 years away. And I'm not trying to sound like a hater. I'm honestly asking the question, is anybody going to still care about Labubus by the time these movies come out? Somebody in the live chat is just asking a really interesting question. Funny Gaming is saying, what's the target audience? You might be surprised how wide the target audience is. Because there are business executives who get Labubus, and they're like, there are athletes, professional athletes who've been seen have Labubus hanging in their locker rooms. But again, my question is, and has been since the Sony announcement, is it still going to be something people care about by the time the movie comes out? I don't know. So just to sum up here, Rob, I get it. Labubu's a huge craze. You got the perfect guy to direct it. I mean, he's the one. There's a lot of great directors they could have got, a lot of directors who could have done a fine job. Paul King is the guy to do this particular project. I just don't know if people are still going to care about it by the time it actually gets made. Anyway, Rob, you hear about this. Paul King's going to direct a Labubu movie. What do you think about it?
Okay, I got to tell you, I don't know if you've ever seen this dude on the internet, but he does videos. He works at a high-end watch place in Buckhead in Atlanta, in Georgia. And people bring their Rolexes to sell back to him. And there's one customer he had that walks in one day with a belt full of Labubus. And he's talking about how he's making all this money selling Labubus, and he brings in like 2 Rolexes or a stack of Rolexes to buy more Labubus. Even that guy came back in. There's 2 videos, came back in with no more Labubus. And the guy behind the counter that stars in these videos goes, "Hey man, where are your Labubus?" He's like, "Oh yeah, it's over. You know, I'm doing something else with my money now." So even Mr. Labubu that was selling his Rolexes to buy more Labubus is out of Labubus. And that's when I realized that, I mean, this is just one of these weird Instagram reel things that I happen to like. I don't even wear a watch. But the once that guy said Labubus were over, I'm like, well, that craze came and went really fast. So I would say to the people at Sony, it's over, man. It's over. Your Labubu craze is over. I learned this from the internet. It's gone. It's over. It's finished.
What do you think about the announcement? Though, let's focus on the highlight here. What do you think about Paul King being attached to direct it?
Great move, but he's got better things to do. Like if you're going to get him to be into in a project, give him. I mean, the Paddington movies showed a unique, and same with Wonka. This guy needs to be making. Just give him all the keys to the kingdom, because his combination of whimsy and emotion is very, very rare. And like, I would never have thought like you that the Paddington movies would be as good as they are. And I loved Wonka. I mean, Timothée Chalamet killed it in that role.
He
That
really
movie
did.
is
He
that
really
movie
did.
is I wouldn't say, I mean, it reminded me of Greatest Showman, watching Wonka. Those movies are just his films are delightful, and why give him a I mean, Paddington's a beloved property, Wonka's a beloved property. Why give him some gimmick movie to do? And a gimmick that's already over, unless it is Labubu, the whole bloody affair. I would watch that. Give me that.
Recreate Kill Bill with stop motion animation Labubus, then you might have my attention.
I mean, who doesn't love that? The way Paddington is portrayed,
Oh,
even the
yeah.
movements of that bear. I mean, it's great. And I don't think this movie's going to happen.
That was going to be my next question was, we both seem to kind of figure and feel like this is a trend that as powerful and as quickly as it came on is equally kind of dying off at a pretty quick rate.
Yeah.
Do we think it's actually going to happen? I think they will. Here's what I think Sony, right or wrong, this is what I think their mindset's going to be. The Labubu craze will be over by the time this movie's ready. But people who were really into it will still be interested in the movie because, oh yeah, I collected those things. And if they're right, and I don't know if they are, but if they're right, and even though the trend is over, the people who were into it will be into the movie, that's a lot of people.
Yeah.
So I would probably pull the plug on it, but I think it's probably still going to happen. Do you think it's actually still going to happen?
I just don't see it happening because you're talking about $100 million movie with the amount of visual effects. But you know what? I mean, maybe it's already paid for. Maybe it's one of those things that the people behind Labubu have already dropped the green and they have to irrevocably go make this movie. Maybe that's the case. And I hope our director gets paid. And you know what though? I will say this. If the movie does get made, despite the Labubu craze being here or there, I'll bet the movie's good. Like,
well,
I'll bet
Paul King's directing it.
Yeah, he's going to deliver a film that exists, take the Labubu craze out of it. I bet he makes a movie that's heartfelt, and we're going to all be going, I never would have thought, John, that a Labubu movie would provide the experiential event I've been looking for in 2027, but there we are.
Dude, I still remember it back when the first Paddington movie was coming out. Because that's what you just said is the exact experience I had with Paddington. So I had the press screen. This is back when I still wasted my time and went to press screenings. But I was going and I'm like, and Anne couldn't go. And I'm like, I don't really want to go see Paddington. Cause at that point I didn't think the trailers looked very good. And Schnepp and I were having lunch. And I remember I said, listen, I got to go to this thing tonight. I can't go. I don't really want to go. I definitely don't want to go myself. You want to go? He goes, son, I don't want to see Paddington. I'm like, I know. He goes, whatever, I'll go. So Schnepp and I go to watch Paddington. And we went in. It's like, how long do you think this movie's going to be? We're going to go somewhere and grab something to eat afterwards. And then we came out of that movie. Paddington. Like we were like,
Bruh.
Both Schnepp and I were both like, oh my God, how good was that? And so it's the same experience I had with the first Paddington. It's the same experience you're describing that I had with Lego. Cause I'm like, who the hell makes a movie out of plastic building blocks? This isn't going to be any good. And it was amazing.
Roy Lee does.
Yeah. Yeah. And he
Dan
did
Lin
well.
knew.
But I mean, I think you're absolutely right. When you get Paul King attached, that's what can happen with Labubu. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? They've just announced a Labubu movie being directed by Wonka and Paddington 1 and 2 director Paul King. That's the part that interests me. Do you think anybody's going to care? Do you think they're actually going to make it? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? Well, one of the movies that we know is coming that kind of caught the world by surprise because out of the 735 announced Star Wars movies that never came to pass, one of the ones that we had not heard about was one being directed by Sean Levy. It kind of came out of nowhere and they dropped it. Sean Levy's directing a Star Wars movie. Oh, and by the way, Ryan Gosling's going to be in it. And by the way, Amy Adams is going to be in it. And oh, by the way, overall, it's a pretty stacked cast. And oh, by the way, it's actually shooting. We're going to start shooting it in a few weeks. And sure enough, they did. Well, Director Sean Levy, who of course also did the Deadpool and Wolverine movie, he just put up on his social media this picture of himself kind of running along the wall, and he wrote, "That's a wrap. Headed into Starfighter post-production like," and he's running around on the wall. It's a clever picture. I like it. Black and white. Funny. Very cool. But Rob, this in a world where we every week get 4 Star Wars movies announcements, and every other week we get the announcement of 4 Star Wars projects no longer happening, where promises are made and never kept. In a world where we haven't had a Star Wars movie in theaters in 6 years, heading into 7, they not only announced this movie, they actually did start shooting it, and now it's actually done. And it raises the question for me about what are we expecting out of it? Not just in terms of the movie itself, but can a movie like Starfighter, because again, unlike some other Star Wars projects, this has a great director, a successful director, a really solid writer, a brand new environment, which is something some Star Wars fans like myself have been begging. Please, for God's sake, Star Wars, the universe is huge and vast. That's the beauty of this world that George Lucas created. Can we move beyond bumping into 12 characters we already know every time we do something? It seems like a whole new element, a whole new part of the galaxy, maybe a time period they haven't exactly touched on yet. It looks great. What are we expecting that this movie can do for the overall state of Star Wars? How are you feeling about now that it's actually finished production? And how ultimately important is this movie to the future of Star Wars? How are you seeing this?
Well, you know, I feel that this film is, in a way, it's a make or break film for the Star Wars franchise, because, you know, I've always wanted to see, I feel like with these big sprawling universes, whether it's Star Trek, Doctor Who, Star Wars, we want to see the very thing that Starfighter is trying to do. Tell us a brand new, unique story set in the universe that we love, where the universe itself is very recognizable. And we love all the iconography of the universe. And you have a very charismatic lead in Ryan Gosling. If there's a great story to be told, another hero's journey that feels legitimate. I mean, they're not even touching on, I would imagine, the Force or the Jedi, because everything, like, I think the Acolyte really put people off because it tried to change what the Force was. Like, you don't get to do that. You
Dude, that's not what turned me off. What turned me off was just, it was crap.
Well, yeah,
but that's the thing. It was just crap. That's what turned me off.
Yeah, I mean that too. I did want to, but I think we have seen pilots. I mean, the idea of pilots being in this universe. Han Solo was a pilot. You know, Red Leader, Gold Leader, all these guys that we know. So the idea of examining the life of a starfighter, of a pilot, Maverick, you know, that's why Top Gun worked. And I think that if you come up, and I'm sure it's Sean Levy, and he's like the director of Paddington, he really knows how to tell a character-based story that you can, I mean, going back to like what, Real Steel, you know, and I think he's a great.
Oh God, I loved Real Steel.
I mean, dude, he knows how to set up real characters in fictional situations.
By the way, how good is it to be Sean Levy right now? Like, bro, even just right now, he just did the $1.3 billion film Deadpool and Wolverine. He's now got his final season of Stranger Things now coming out, and he's got a Star Wars movie coming out. How good is it to be Sean Levy right now?
And he's always got a smile on his face, and he's always happy to talk about whatever's going on. He must be the happiest man in Hollywood, believe it or not. No, so I'm excited. I mean, look, man, you know what? When I was a kid, one of my favorite things in the world was an X-Wing fighter. And I dreamed, if there's one thing I could dream of, I didn't want to be Luke Skywalker. I wouldn't want to. But when I was a kid, when I saw Star Wars, I'm like, I want to fly an X-Wing, bruh. Come on. I didn't say bruh. But I wanted to fly an X-Wing. And I think that whether it's a Naboo starfighter, whether it's an X-Wing, whether it's a TIE fighter, I would imagine that this character is going to fly multiple vehicles in the film. So I can't wait.
Oh, yeah, 100% it is. And look, it's really weird because the next thing we have coming up, and I really think they are making a mistake. The next thing coming up, of course, is Mandalorian and Grogu. And I almost feel like if you believe Starfighter is good, and I'm hearing they're really liking it, and that's fine. If you think Starfighter's good, you put it out first, because I think that can really help Mandalorian and Grogu if you then put it out later, if you get Star Wars back on some solid footing. But like right now, Mandalorian and Grogu, and I know we've had this conversation before, but like I'm still a little bit baffled by the decision to do a Mandalorian and Grogu movie. Because the perception of it is fair or unfair, right or wrong. The perception is, so it's just a glorified 2 episodes of the TV show put on, and they're taking it to the theaters after what is universally agreed upon to be their worst season. Like I'm a big fan of Mandalorian season 1 and 2. Season 3 was, let's just say it was just not good. Right. So,
which is not great marketing for the movie, and people are watching it even now.
Oh, not at all. And so I'm really questioning that. So you're going to have that come in theaters. And listen, I'm not going to completely discard it because it's John Favreau. If anybody's going to make that work, it's going to be John Favreau. Okay. But I just kind of feel like it could have benefited from Starfighter coming out first, whatever. So now here we are and we've got Starfighter coming out. And man, listen, while this isn't going to get the fanfare of another pivotal film like Superman, DC, the first DCU Superman movie, while it's not going to get the fanfare of, say, Avengers Doomsday that's coming out, I kind of feel like this Starfighter movie is in that kind of same position where it almost feels like we're at a make or break point for Star Wars, right?
I think so too.
And I think, especially with Andor coming out, there's a lot of us out here that are still like, okay, so there's clearly still hope. Like Andor is the best Star Wars thing ever made since the original trilogy. So it's like, okay, so clearly there's still hope, but now let's get back into the theaters. We're going to get Mandalorian and Grogu. I have a feeling people are going to give it a pass if it's not all that good, because again, it's just the extension of the television series. But Starfighter, a true brand new feature film experience, with one of the hottest directors in Hollywood, solid writer, amazingly packed cast, all this kind of stuff. It kind of feels like a little bit make or break. And I just hope it's make. I just hope it does it well and is able to deliver, because I do trust these guys, man. You got a good Canadian kid in there, and Ryan Gosling grew up just up the street from me. And you got Sean Levy, who is like as hot can be right now. So here's hoping it all works out. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Sean Levy has come out and announced that they have wrapped production on Star Wars Starfighter. How important do you think this film is going to be to the overall, situation of Star Wars right now? Do you have high anticipation for it? Are you like, can't get too excited till I see a trailer? Totally understand that too. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? Well, as I mentioned, I went to go see Avatar: Fire and Ash the other night, and as promised, the first teaser trailer for Avengers Doomsday came out, and it was exactly what had leaked. It was Steve Rogers. It's the exact same thing that we saw, which is very confounding to me because I don't want people to forget this. I got on my show, Rob, last week, and I said I can definitively tell you how long this trailer is, because I had not one, not two, but 3 people at movie theaters send me the exact runtime of the trailer they got given. And that runtime was 1 minute and 27 seconds. I saw images. It was consistent. All 3 of them from 3 different movie theaters. 1 minute, 27 seconds. And this teaser was not 1 minute and 27 seconds. I mean, maybe it was when you count in the countdown clock that came up at the end and everything.
I bet it was. By the way, did the countdown clock say 19 weeks or did it say...
No, it said 12 months.
Okay.
Said 12 months. It was
Damn.
not 19 weeks.
Damn.
Because remember, we had a lot of fun speculating about what could be coming out in 19 weeks. But that aside, so there it was. We have it. The trailer's there. It's out there. People have now seen it. There it is. How am I feeling about it? I got to tell you, my feelings are still the same that I said the other day when the trailers leaked, which was, I'm underwhelmed. Now, look, let me reiterate. We are talking about Steve Rogers, my absolute, without question, my number one favorite character in the MCU. Chris Evans's Steve Rogers is without a doubt my number one favorite character in the MCU. I have fully believed that, Marvel kind of botched moving on after Endgame. And I have fully believed that you need to bring back Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans, the heart and the soul, the faces of the MCU, to kind of reground things and then try moving on again. But I've never felt they're going to be able to really move on to the next real stage of the MCU unless you bring back, Tony and Steve in order to move on again, because they botched moving on last time. All that is true. But I got to tell you, Rob, going into this thing, I wasn't expecting a full-blown 3-minute, here's a taste of everything in the movie. I wasn't expecting that. The movie's still a year away, right? I'm not expecting terribly too much. But it was just kind of a fart in a crowded room. Noticeable, notable, but quickly forgotten, hopefully. And hopefully doesn't linger too long. Look, there was nothing wrong with it. Like, we have seen first trailers that have just looked bad, and it kind of detracts your excitement from the movie. There is nothing wrong with this teaser at all. I didn't come away with it detracting from anything. It was just nothing. And here's the thing, Rob. I don't think it was nothing because we already saw it leaked. I think it was nothing because we knew a trailer was coming. And I think we needed more than that. Now, there's the big argument, Rob, going around that, and I get it, and it's valid. There's this argument going around. It's like, well, wait, just hold your horses. Hold judgment until all 4 come out. Because, of course, we got a new one coming out next week, then one following that, and then one following that. And everybody's kind of saying, just hold on until we see all of them. And there is wisdom in that statement. There is. I'm not saying there's not. But again, I was just hoping for something that would have more impact. Again, you don't have to give the story away. You don't have to show me something that shouldn't be seen yet, but just something that has impact. And I don't know if this slow motorcycle ride and a slow walk up the steps. And by the way, it's not like Steve Rogers has been gone from the MCU for 12 years. We're literally
6.
But we're literally like one phase removed from when he kind of came out. So I don't know. I was hoping, again, all I'm saying, it's not bad. I was just hoping for something that had more punch. Something that was like a big moment. Some may argue that it was showing the baby. Okay, he has a baby. I don't know. I walked away a little disappointed, Rob, with it, to be honest with you. Anyway, you saw it. We now know it's official. It's 12 months, not 19 weeks, unfortunately. But anyway, what's your thoughts about this little Steve Rogers teaser for Avengers Doomsday?
Okay, I'm going to preface this by saying I'm a big sap, and people are going to say, they're going to call me a shill, call me what you want. I loved the Infinity Saga, and I love Steve Rogers, and I've loved Marvel Comics my whole life, and I've collected comics. I have thousands of pages of Marvel Comics. Now, we had speculated just a month ago whether Steve Rogers was even going to be in this movie, and I knew nothing about it. I didn't know anything about this movie. We speculated on, even you, John, and you're like, nah, how could they keep that a secret? And even I was
100%.
How could they keep it a secret? And then I watched Colton over at Screen Rant's video.
Screen Crush.
Pardon me. Colton at Screen Crush. I apologize. And I got so hyped about it. I was so hyped. And man, did I love it. And I watched the video. I watched the bootleg video. Someone sent it to me. I watched it. I'm like, should I watch this? And I got to tell you, this is true, John. Just seeing the confirmation that Steve Rogers was in this movie, and I loved him in Endgame, like the conversation he has with Nat in Endgame. When I saw Steve Rogers' face, even before I saw the baby, I kid you not, I teared up. And it was only because I've been watching, I had hyped myself up about Endgame, and I told you it was a lifestyle choice, and then watching that screen crush video, and then watching the video, watching the bootleg. I literally, and Elizabeth was taking a shower, and I'm sitting there in bed with my morning coffee looking at this bootleg. When I saw Chris Evans' face, I got teary-eyed watching a bootleg, only because it confirmed all of this. I mean, I was fully into my inner man child moment. And I'm like, oh my God, he is coming back. It was a private moment and nobody saw it. So thank God, thank God. Elizabeth would be like, what the? And if I told her why I was openly weeping into my coffee, she would have said, what are you? Like, what? Get out of my bedroom. And so it hit me hard. I think this is what happened. You know, we heard that they were making like 30 different trailers. I think they couldn't figure out, they wanted to have these specific character moments to show in the trailers. And they tried to make a 2-minute trailer, and they just couldn't do it. And somebody had the idea, what if we took out these teaser moments from the trailer, then whatever the 3 characters are, Thor, I think, is the next one, and whoever the third one is, we take those out and we make those individual teases, and then we hit them. The 4th trailer is going to be the full-blown trailer that shows all this stuff. So we can have our cake and eat it too. And I think that's what they've done. And I think it was a cockamamie idea that they decided to do this. It's in front of Avatar over the Christmas season. So they're going to parcel it out, and then we're going to get their actual trailer. And I think that this was a result of they just couldn't fit it all in one trailer. They couldn't make it work, but having those scenes breathe, because you could never put a minute and 20-second or a minute and you could not put a scene like that in a trailer, because it's an actual scene. Guy shows up, rolls up his motorcycle, walks up his front stoop, goes into his house, sees his armor, reveals his child. You couldn't put that sequence in a trailer. It would kill a trailer. So they decided to put those individual, they probably tried to cut those scenes down and couldn't make them work. They said, just let's play the scene. And
I'll tell you why I don't think that's
what
happened. I don't think that's what happened. I'll tell you why I don't think that's what happened. You have to plan with the movie theaters and everything. You have to have, these things are scheduled months and months and months and months in advance. So I think this was probably part of their overall campaign. But let me tell you a new theory I have. Because a standing theory that I have subscribed to has been that Captain America does something that was not supposed to happen in that timeline. He goes back and has a child. And that may have caused a butterfly effect that maybe even destroys Dr. Doom's world, and now he's angry and all that kind of stuff. But I have a new theory. We have heard through audio clips of the upcoming Thor trailer for Avengers Doomsday, where he's basically praying to Odin, just basically saying, and it's very poetic and very Shakespearean, but basically it's like, I'm about to go into battle, but let me return to my love. Of course, that's the name of his now adopted daughter, Love.
Right.
Are you sensing a theme here?
Oh, yes. Yes.
What if,
and Frank, we already saw Franklin Richards with Doom.
What if Doom is like literally going around and stealing children? What if he takes Franklin, and the whole reason we meet Steve's baby is Doom is now going to take Rogers' baby, who is the child of a super soldier, and then goes and takes Love, who Love is clearly also a very powerful being. And like, what if that's the whole theme here that we get, that we already saw him, we didn't see him take Franklin, but we saw him with Franklin. He takes Steve's baby. He takes Thor's kid. And maybe that's, instead of like the whole idea about the kids being something that kind of threw off the timeline and caused incursions, maybe Doom thinks he needs to go around and collect these children. I don't know. What do you think about that theory?
Oh, I think you're absolutely right. I mean, I think that there's something dastardly happening with, I mean, what better way to establish the cred of a villain in that he's collecting the children of our heroes. And, the fact that a child exists that was never supposed to be born in the first place,
Right.
and maybe these children, their very existence is somehow, like you said, disruptive to the timeline, maybe collectively, that the fact that these multiple, like Franklin Richards as a super being, as a, what do we call them? Whatever they call it in the MCU, these are characters that are so powerful, they're not supposed to exist, which is why Doctor Doom is taking them and to use them. And I would also posit one other thing. I think Peter Parker is one of those characters as well, and he's not supposed to exist, or because of what happened in No Way Home, which also disrupted the timeline. Maybe it has something to do with young people of a certain age, because love is older than infant size. That she's not an infant.
Yes, true.
So if young people were involved with some kind of rip in time, maybe that's who Doom is gathering up. Spider-Man obviously would be the oldest, but people don't remember who he is. And so I have no idea, but maybe something like that's going on. I have no idea. And maybe it all ties back to why Robert Downey Jr. is Doom, because something happened in the timeline that created him.
He loses his kid. He loses his kid, maybe. Again, we could
or
be
he was
way
someone
off.
He was someone else's kid.
Yeah.
That got somehow, that because we know that Howard Stark in Endgame, there's that conversation about, yeah, my wife's pregnant, and you see Robert Downey Jr. going, wait a minute, what? Because there's some adoption issue that we don't know about. It's gonna watch Colton's video. I'm telling you, get excited about this stuff.
Again, the prime thing here, of course, is that Steve is back. Chris Evans is back. Finally,
Dude, I wept openly.
Fulfilling what I said 3 weeks after Endgame came out, when I said to the world, it may not be next year, it may not be after that, it may not be after 3 years, but Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans will 100% both be back. And we knew Tony, or we knew Robert Downey Jr., and now it's official with my favorite MCU character, Chris Evans, coming back. It's all come to complete fruition. The circle is now complete. He's back. I'm excited. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Oh, and by the way, let's throw this in here, Rob. Because I've gotten a number of comments in our live chat here about this already today. There was a lot of people who went to go see a screening of Avatar expecting to see this Avengers Doomsday teaser. And a lot of people writing in today, even in a live chat, they never got it.
Wow.
They never got it. And here's the thing. What my response to that would be, to be fair, Marvel never said that they were putting this trailer in front of Avatar. I mean, if we want to be specific, Marvel never came out and made some announcement, we're putting our trailer in front of Avatar.
No.
That was information that got leaked. And nor did they say it would be in front of every screening of Avatar. As a matter of fact, listen, movie theaters and distributors, they negotiate theater by theater or chain by chain about how many times their trailer's going to play in which. It's very possible you were in a screening of Avatar that didn't get the Avengers trailer in front of it. But once the credits rolled and you got up and left the theater and the next audience came in, they may have got it because they signed for how many times the trailer is going to be screened, how often it's going to be seen, all that kind of stuff. So it's very possible. So I know a lot of people probably went to go see it and it didn't happen. But again, I'm just saying, to be fair, Marvel never said they were doing it, and Marvel never said it was going to be playing in front of all these things.
And they never said they didn't say they were going to release 3 trailers or 3 teasers and a full trailer either, did they?
No.
That's never actually been officially announced.
No, and by the way, we still don't know if that's actually true.
Right.
Just to be clear, we don't know that that's actually true. Disney never said it. I mean, I think it is what's happening, but again, we always got to make sure we make a distinction between what did somebody leak and report versus what did the studio itself actually say? It kind of reminds me of that James Gunn situation, right? Like, people are asking, oh, is this guy playing Brainiac? And James Gunn finally came out and said, we talked about this the other day. Listen, just to be clear, I have never said any of those rumored names that are going around out there. I've never even said Brainiac's in this movie. So like that could be the situation here, but I do feel bad for anybody who went to Avatar specifically, or at least got there early enough to watch all the trailers, only to get there and find out there were no trailers to be watched. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Did you have a chance to see this trailer? You probably saw one of the bootlegs of it, or did you see it in theaters now? How did you feel about it? What do you think it ultimately could mean? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys, with that down, it's now time for us to move on to the most important part of our show, which is, of course, taking your live comments and questions. But before we do, we got a couple things we got to do. First, we got to bid good day and good week to our friend, writer, director, producer, Robert Meyer Burnett. Great job as always, man. We'll talk to you again on Monday.
Yes, sir. Thank you. And I'm gonna go see this just to see the teaser on the big screen and weep openly again. So if you see me in the theater at the Harkins Mountain Grove 16, bring me some Kleenex.
And of course, the other thing that we need to do here right now is take a couple of seconds to thank the sponsors of today's episode of the John Campea Show, our friends at PrizePicks and Aura. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of this episode, PrizePicks. Honestly, this is the best time of year for sports. We've got hockey, basketball's heating up, football pushing towards the playoffs, and big games happening every single night. And while we can sit around and argue about which team's going to win, there's one place where it just feels good to be right, and that's PrizePicks. What I love most about PrizePicks is just how simple it is. You just pick more or less on at least 2 player projections, build your lineup, and that's it. No drafts, no season-long commitments, just jump in whenever you want. And I have been having a blast making lineups while watching games, and it honestly makes every matchup way more fun to follow. One of the coolest things about it is that they've just added early payouts. If your lineup gets off to a hot start, you may have the option to cash out before the game even finishes. And I also love how flexible it is. Whether you're going for safer, flex play, or bigger power plays, PrizePicks makes everything super clear with their payout multipliers. So here's what you do. Download the PrizePicks app today and use the code Campea to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code Campea to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks. It's good to be right. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of this video, Aura. Guys, if you are anything like me, you swear every year you're going to be on top of your Christmas shopping, and then suddenly it's December 20th, the shelves are empty, and you're standing around in Target asking yourself, does my aunt even like candles? But this year, I am not doing that because of Aura Frames. It's completely saved me. See, I always struggled with what to get people in my life, but this year I'm going to give out a couple of Aura Frames, and it's hands down the most personal, meaningful gift that I can possibly give. And here's the best part. Aura lets you upload unlimited photos and videos. Plus, the frame comes in a premium gift box with no price tag, so it feels like a classy, well thought out gift, even if you bought it last minute. Guys, you can't gift wrap togetherness, but you can frame it. So for a limited time, save on the perfect gift by visiting auraframes.com to get $35 off Aura's best-selling Carver matte frames named #1 by Wirecutter by using promo code Campea at the checkout. That's auraframes.com, promo code Campea. This deal is exclusive to our listeners and frames sell out fast. So order yours now to get it in on time for the holidays. Support the show by mentioning that we sent you at checkout. Terms and conditions apply. And thank you to our friends at PrizePicks and Aura for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show. All right, guys, with that all down, let's get on to the important stuff, your live comments and questions, shall we? And we're going to get things kicked off here with, I believe, Drew. And Drew writes, 10 years ago today, my dad took me to see Force Awakens in theaters, and I fell in love with movies. I was 10 at the time. Yeah, it's kind of hard to believe it was 10 years ago that The Force Awakens came out. By the way, a movie I still really like. I thought they got started off really strong. Again, not as good as the original trilogy at all, but I thought they started off really strong, and then, it ended up with The Rise of Skywalker which was one of the most horrible movies I've ever seen. But it is what it is. But yeah, it's unbelievable. It's been like 10 years, man. All right, next up, we've got Andy Newton, who says, I'm kind of pissed. I loved Avatar 3, but there was no Doomsday trailer and nothing for the Odyssey as well, where I watched the movie in France. And again, that sucks. That sucks. But to be fair, nobody ever made an official announcement that it was going to be playing in front of every screening of Avatar. You just never know what you're going to get. Now, in my screening, I did get the Doomsday teaser, but I did not get the Odyssey prelude, that 5-minute thing. I never got it. I think they were only playing it in IMAX. But I did get an Odyssey trailer, and the trailer looked great. I mean, the trailer looked wonderful, so I was happy about that. But I also, I did not get everything I was hoping I was going to get. All right. Next up, Luis writes, saw Avatar 3 and no Doomsday trailer. Any reason why? Not every trailer is going to play in front of every movie. Now, sometimes there are specific engagements, like IMAX will release that in IMAX screenings in front of sinners, we are going to have the brand new prelude of the Odyssey, right? They'll announce that. But for standard trailers, I mean, let's remember this, guys. We live in an era right now where 99% of trailers are online before they're in theaters anyway, right? So it's not like, oh, if we're putting in front of Avatar, that means it's going to be in front of every screening of Avatar. That's not really the way it works. And again, they never, to be fair to Disney, they never said it was, they never announced it. And it's unfortunate that some people went expecting it and didn't get it. But it is, again, guys, it is just a trailer. I mean, let's not overhype it. It is indeed, at the end of the day, still just a trailer, or even just a tease. All right, Paul writes, Vin Diesel says he wrote a part for a soccer player, Ronaldo, in Fast 11. Can Universal take power away from Vin for Fast 11? Somebody else asked about this before. Here's my feelings on it, all right? I hate the idea of giving actual acting roles to people who aren't actors, but if Vin wrote the role for Ronaldo playing himself, because, you know, we often see movies where like a famous person will be in, like a famous athlete or musician or something, and they are themselves, right? They're playing themselves. If he wrote a part for Ronaldo to pop up for a scene or two as himself, then I've got no problem with it. Then I have no problem with it whatsoever. But if he actually wrote a role for him, for a non-actor, then I love Vin Diesel. Everybody knows I have huge love in my heart for Vin Diesel. But if he just literally wrote a part that's a fictitious part, and instead of getting a real actor to play it, he wants to get Ronaldo, then I'll have issues with that. I would. I'm not going to lie. All right. Next up, Matan writes, do you think the Expedition 33 would get the same reception if it wasn't realistic, but cel-shaded anime-like art style like the JRPGs it was inspired by? Well, I can't really say, because while I have now got the game, I haven't played it yet. I haven't played it. Now, I do know that, what's it called? Silk Knight? Is that what it was called? The little indie game? I mean, that got huge raves and like tons of nominations and so well received. So Silk Song, thank you guys. Silk Song. That got huge, and look at its art style. If the game is great, and I can't comment on it because I haven't played it myself, but it seemed to have won a lot of awards. If the game is great, then yes, I still think if the art style had been different, I still think it would have gotten the amount of attention that it got. At least that's my guess. Won't know for sure till I play it. Bobby writes, I know it wouldn't happen. With Gunn being close with Michael Rosenbaum, I wonder if he would consider him for the Brainiac role, a Lex Easter egg. Here's the thing that we know about James Gunn. He will give the role to somebody who he thinks is perfect for the role. Superman's a great example, right? Like, he could have gone out and gotten one of his buddies to play Superman. He could have gone out and got just a major big A-list name to play Superman. But he wanted to find the perfect guy to play Superman. And whatever you think of the new Superman movie, I personally love it. But even if you don't, you got to acknowledge, man, that guy was a pretty spot on Superman. David Cornsweet was a great thing for it. So I I really don't think he's just going to give it to Michael Rosenbaum, because he's had a lot of movies that he hasn't given Michael Rosenbaum a role for. Or when he has, like in Guardians of the Galaxy 3, it's like an alien in a mask sort of thing, right? So no, I don't think that just because he's friends with Michael Rosenbaum, he's going to give him the role of Brainiac, unless he honestly thinks he's the perfect guy to play it. Other than that, I wouldn't expect that he would do that, because that's not what he's done historically. All right, next up, Zach writes, what would you say was the better reveal this year? The reveal of who is actually sending the texts in Drop, or the actual killer in Wake Up Dead Man? I'm going to say the actual killer in Wake Up Dead Man. I thought Drop was wonderful. And if you guys don't know who everybody's talking about as the potential new Batman, this Brandon Sklenar, you can watch 1923. I really loved him in Drop. I really like that movie. Such a simple movie, simple concept, but brilliantly executed, really low budget. I had a great time with it. But I would say the reveal in Wake Up Dead Man. That would be my pick, Zach. All right, next up. AV Cali writes, other than Doomsday, I'm really curious to see Clayface. It might be a great psychological movie about vanity, especially in today's world with filters. Listen, you've got, what's the name of the guy again? Mike Flanagan? I think that's the name of the guy who did like Haunting on House Hill or whatever the name of it was, and a bunch of other incredible stuff. He wrote Clayface, and James Gunn has defined it as a body horror film. So what was the name of the most recent Demi Moore movie? Was that The Substance? I think it was called The Substance. Like, that is a body horror movie, man. And it's in the shadow of that James Gunn calls this new Clayface a body horror film. That's exciting to me, written by Mike Flanagan. I think we're in for something really special. I think we're something very different from Superman, very different from Peacemaker. I think we're in for something really special, though. All right, Raymond Verrata writes, in the Doomsday teaser trailer, who do you think Steve's baby turns out to be? In the Ultimate Universe, it was Red Skull. Sharon Carter? Ooh, yeah. No, here's the problem. Rob brought this up, and it's really astutely brought this up. I believe Steve goes back to the 1940s. I think that's where he goes back to. If he goes back to the 1940s, Sharon Carter would be 80. She'd be 80 in 1920. Or in 2020, I mean. In 2020, she'd be 80 years old. So it would have to be somebody who's not a modern contemporary character in that MCU. That's the thing that really throws it off, right? Like some people saying, oh, the baby's actually Tony. Well, Tony would be 80 years old then, so that doesn't work. So yeah, I don't really know. Maybe it's frickin' who's the original Ant-Man? Who's Michael Douglas's Ant-Man's character again? Why he's the predominantly Pym, Hank Pym. I don't know. Maybe it's Hank Pym. That would be the right age, right? Somebody who's approaching their 80s. That's somebody who could be the right age. So maybe it's Hank Pym. Maybe it's Thunderbolt Ross. I don't know. We'll find out. We'll see. All right. Thanks for that, Raymond. Next up, Reza writes, one of two. Comic fans are really eating good right now. There's so many good ones coming out from Marvel's Ultimates, DC's Absolute, and Independents putting out stuff. So I'd like to see every once in a while highlight one that I'm really enjoying. And that one this time is the newest Captain America, David Colton, a kid who's joined as a teen right after 9/11. I really, really hope he doesn't become forgotten. I have got to admit, while I've kept up a little bit on the Absolute Batman and stuff like that, just through the videos of Comics Explained, because I'm a sucker for Rob's videos. I really haven't been picking up a lot of comics over the last 2 years. Like most of my comic reading over the last couple of years has been going back and buying these bigger collections of older stories and stuff like that. So I haven't kept up on a lot of the Ultimates or a lot of the Absolute stuff, but I hear that some of it's actually pretty good. So I might have to check some of it out sometime. All right. Next up, we've got Jamie Sundays, who writes, I would argue that Colonel Quaritch is the MVP of the franchise, and dare I say the most interesting character. I'm also ready to move on from a certain from certain young characters. I hope this isn't the last one. Well, I'm going to agree with you and disagree with you. I agree that, because I mentioned a little bit earlier in our review, I think the Quaritch character has had the most interesting story arc and story progression and character journey, especially after watching this movie. I don't know if I'm ready to call him the MVP, but man, it's right up there. I mean, he's turned from what is just a standard action fantasy sci-fi film villain into somebody really interesting. And it's going to be interesting to see where they go after that. As far as the kids, I disagree. You know, I'm like you in Avatar Way of Water. I was kind of like, the kids, but you know what? They are the ones that really, the ultimate theme of this movie is also family. Family. It's family. And they really highlight that. I love the dynamics between the kids. I love their coming of age, their interactions with Spider and their family relationship with Spider. I actually kind of like it. I'm not going to lie, but I'm with you on Quaritch, man. I totally am. All right, next up. Oh, Jamie also follows up saying, I'm not saying this is how everyone feels, but when they showed the Doomsday trailer, I heard 2 claps and a lot of scoffs. This was at AMC Universal IMAX, by the way. I would say we were having this discussion in the live chat before the show started today. You know, for me, in my theater, when they played the Avengers trailer with Steve Rogers, I didn't hear anybody clap in the theater. But to be fair, I can't remember the last time it's happened, but I can't remember the last time I was in a movie theater, in a regular movie theater, watching a movie with a regular audience where any trailer got people to clap at it. It's been a while. So I wouldn't take that as any sort of commentary on the trailer or how general people feel about the trailer. I wouldn't take that as any commentary on that because I can't remember the last time I heard people clap at a trailer. That was in a regular movie screening. So I wouldn't read anything into that, but my experience was the same. I didn't have anybody clap at it either in mine. All right. Raymond writes, is Colossus ready? Do you need snow chains? No, don't need snow chains, but Colossus is ready. That is my camper van. I'll be hopping into it and driving off as soon as we're done the show here today. All right. Jamie Sundays writes in again. It's funny because no matter how much I say I could care less about Doomsday and how stupid these films have become, I will be there opening weekend. At least, Jamie, you are self-aware enough to admit that. Because we hear from all these people all the time. It's like, this one looks stupid. Oh, who cares about this anymore? It's like, fool, you're going to be there opening day and you know it. At least you have the self-awareness enough to acknowledge that too. All right. Jamie also writes, Odyssey clip had the theater roaring for excitement. Oh, not in mine. In mine, well, I got the Odyssey trailer, not a peep. But again, that doesn't mean anything. But I'm just saying, in my theater, not a peep when they played the Odyssey trailer. All right, Luis writes, the Odyssey IMAX clip is freaking epic. I still haven't seen it. I haven't had the opportunity to see it. I'm more excited for this than Avengers Doomsday. This short clip was better than watching Avatar. Avatar was bad. Oh, no, it wasn't. The Fire Na'vi chick was sweet, though. Yeah, no, I thought, listen, all film is subjective. Your opinion of the film is no more and no less valid than mine. My experience was different. I thought it was a really enjoyable movie. The artistry on screen, the epicness of it, the adventure of it. I had a great time. Movies are experiential events. That movie gave me an experience, man. It really did. But the Odyssey does look really good. Looks really good. All right. Ryan Trabucco writes, went to see Avatar last night in IMAX 3D, but no Avengers or Odyssey trailers. They played a couple of ads, 2 other trailers, and then the movie. Avatar could be 30 minutes shorter, but really good. I agree. I thought Avatar could have been maybe 20 minutes shorter, somewhere around that neighborhood. Unfortunately, you didn't get either the Odyssey. But I'll tell you what, man, let me sidebar here for a second. So I'm in my movie theater. I don't know if you're going to be able to see this. I go into my movie theater last night. Now, you guys know one of my big pet peeves is, of course, one of my big pet peeves is how long they play movie trailers, right? Too long. My Avatar screening was supposed to be at 4 p.m. And at 4:10, so we get into the theater a little bit early because we know the Avengers trailer is coming, so we want to be there for all the trailers to make sure we don't miss it. So I'm in there and they're just playing some random commercials, which is not unusual. Like if a movie starts at 7 and you're in there at 6:50, they're going to be playing some commercials. That's fine. I have no problem. I have no issue with a movie theater playing commercials prior to the showtime. I have no problem with that. But we get in that theater and AMC's just playing commercials and more commercials and more not trailers, not even trailers, commercials. And our movie was supposed to start at 4. And at 4:10, this is me in the theater with my back to the screen. At 4:10, I'm saying, hey guys, with record high movie ticket prices, I'm in this movie theater and I'm watching a cell phone commercial after the start time of the movie. I was so pissed off I recorded a video of it. I didn't upload that video, but I was so pissed, like, hey, with record high movie ticket prices, a movie time that's supposed to be at 4, it's 4:10 and I'm watching a cell phone commercial. I was so pissed. I almost walked out. I didn't, obviously, but I almost walked out. Anyway, that was a little bit of a side note. All right. Let's see. Next up, we got Alex who writes, hey, John, last night I was sitting in the theater and nearly choked on my popcorn when I saw you walk in. Oh, I wanted to say hi, but after was too nervous. So here I am now. Thanks for all you do. Oh, thank you for that, man. Listen, honestly, I get a huge kick. Seriously, I am just some fucking nobody who makes YouTube videos. Every time, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm just going to be straight up honest. I'm not going to be fake. I'll be straight up honest with you. When people come walking up to me, whether it's in the mall or at theme parks or at a movie theater or whatever, and they come up and say hi and that they watch the show, you make me feel like a freaking rock star. Just from something as little as that, you make me feel like a rock star whenever somebody comes walking up and say hi. So please, by all means, next time you see me, I mean, we went to our local theater. We went to our AMC Riverside Tyler Galleria. That's where we saw it. But if you see me, please, by all means, feel free to come up and say hi. Because I'm not going to lie. I know it makes me sound petty, but you make me feel like a rock star when you do. So by all means, please do that. It's always fun. All right. Thanks for that, Alex. Next up, Mike writes, ahead of the release of Avengers Doomsday next year, with hindsight, was hiring Jonathan Majors the best thing that could have happened to Marvel? I mean, that obviously did not work out very well, so I'm not quite. Oh, are you saying, like, they hired Jonathan Majors, and Jonathan Majors' off-camera troubles contributed to the decision to cancel Kang Dynasty, which left them to come up with another plan, and then they came up with the Doomsday plan. So ultimately, is it a good thing they cast Jonathan Majors? Because otherwise we may not have had Avengers Doomsday. Maybe, but let me also propose this. And I've said this before, let me say it again. I am not convinced that even if Jonathan Majors didn't experience some off-camera personal troubles, I'm not convinced they wouldn't have canceled Kang Dynasty anyway. And I've made this argument before. And this is not Jonathan Majors' fault, they botched Kang. They totally botched him. Like, they brought him in as this unimpressive character in Loki. First of all, if you're trying to establish your new big cinematic bad, you don't do it in one of your Disney Plus shows. So he wasn't all that impressive in Loki. And we had, what was Loki's variant called? The female version? I forget her name, because honestly, I think Loki season 1 was pretty good, but a little bit forgettable. What was her name? Big Bertha? Sylvie. Thank you. Sapphire was the first one to write the name, Sylvie. So in the first season of Loki, Sylvie kills him. In Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, Ant-Man beats him. He got beat. I mean, look, you're trying to launch the next big bad coming after Thanos. And they totally botched that character. They totally botched it. And so I think they realized they totally botched it. Like, who's going to take this character as a really true, big, ominous threat like Thanos was when Sylvie kills him with a stabby and Ant-Man beats him up. And like, where do you go? They botched it. And so because of that, I kind of suspect that even if Jonathan Majors didn't get into off-camera trouble and his personal issues that he had there, I kind of think they might have canceled it anyway and moved on to something else. And they needed to. But if it was because of casting Jonathan Majors, then you're right. As it turns out, that was a big stroke of luck. Anyway, thanks for that, Mike. Fulmino writes, John and Rob, you guys inspire me. Oh, thank you so much for that, man. I appreciate that, the kind words. X-Men Superfan writes, one of two. I'm sorry for the bad phrasing of my Marion Cotillard on Inception. English is my second language and my neurodivergency showed. But I was asking because it seemed like she had to play the idea of a man of his wife. And I wanted to have your take on it, of a man of his wife. And I wanted to have your take on it because I rewatched the film differently and she haunts the plot, not in a direct way, unlike most uses of haunting the narrative. Is there a part 3? Yeah, there it is. And I am so entranced by her performance. She feels complex, even as a shade of the wife. I am wondering, what did you think of her acting? Do you think she managed to embody the idea that Nolan had? Listen, first of all, Marion Cotillard, I can't think of one single thing I've seen her in where she does not thoroughly impress. Thoroughly impress. She's a powerhouse. She's an absolute powerhouse. And so her performance, always top notch. Always top notch. Without exception. She has the ability to go, even as like an actress where English isn't her first language, she has the ability to just exude and emote, and she can create atmosphere with her presence. A lot of actors are really good in playing to the atmosphere that they're in. She creates atmosphere with the way she emotes. So I just think she's absolute top notch. All right. Next up, Ryan Trabuco writes, kind of makes you wonder. Oh, sorry. There was one I absolutely missed there. Jared writes, Labubu movie should be a cross between Battle Royale and Jingle All the Way. You know what? They'll never do that, but you kind of got me interested, Jared. You kind of got me interested. All right. Next up, Brian writes, kind of makes you wonder what the pitch was for the Labubu movie that got Paul King to sign on. Kind of intrigued to see this movie now, to be honest. Listen, that's the thing here, Ryan, right? There is nothing, let me rephrase. There's very little you could do that would get me interested in a Labubu movie. Unless you say Paul King's directing it. And I wonder here, I wonder, because the normal progression of things is differently. I wonder, is this that the studio had a concept for the movie and pitched it to Paul King? Or did they offer the property to Paul, or did they ask Paul King, hey, we've got Labubu, let us know if you have a take on it. And then Paul King came up with a take and brought it to Sony. And then Sony goes, yes. So I don't know which way that went. Did Sony pitch the concept to Paul King, or did Paul King pitch the concept to Sony? I don't know. But either way, with Paul King directing it, that's the one thing, Ryan, that's going to get me on board with it. And they've done it. So I have to admit, I'm not a Labubu guy, but I'd be lying if I didn't say I was curious. All right. Let's see. Abdul writes, does Michael do $1 billion when will we see trailer? The trailer's already out. Maybe you missed it, but if you just go online and search for the Michael trailer, it's out. It's there, and it's really kind of good. And I absolutely believe this movie will make $1 billion. I believe this movie will join the $1 billion club. All right, Inspector Guru writes, John, I'm not good. Went to see Avatar last night and was there early specifically to not miss the Doomsday trailer. And guess what? There wasn't one, so hurt. Yeah, again, it's just a situation that sucks because, again, I need to remind everybody, Disney never said they were playing it in front of Avatar. Disney never said that. Other people reported it. Disney never, and certainly Disney never said not only that they were releasing a trailer at all, but they certainly never said it was going to play in front of every screening of Avatar. That doesn't take away from how much it sucks from a lot of people, I'm sure, because I got lucky. I went to a screen last night and I got the Avatar trailer. Sorry, Avatar trailer. I got the Doomsday trailer and I got the Odyssey trailer. Not the 5-minute prelude, but I did get a trailer. But yeah, man, that really sucks. I'm so sorry to hear that. That really sucks. All right, next up. Ryan writes in again. And he writes, where did he go? There he is. Did you see the Variety article on Sony purchasing control of Peanuts for $457 million? I did. And listen, we didn't cover it as a topic today. Maybe we should have. But I ain't going to lie, man. I got to scratch my head on that one. Why? And I grew up avidly loving Charlie Brown stuff. Like, of course, like many people, I grew up watching the Charlie Brown Christmas special every year and all that kind of stuff. But $500 million for Peanuts? Is it still worth that? I mean, as I go over and take a look at this, remember that Peanuts movie trailer they did, or Peanuts movie trailer, that Peanuts movie they did a few years ago? Remember this? By the way, I liked this movie. I thought this movie was really delightful. It made $246 million. You're going to pay nearly $500 million? Is Charlie Brown still popular? I don't know, man. It seemed like a weird choice. By the way, somebody's asking, can we still add super chats? No, I turned off super chats like during the ad break because we have plenty of super chats in. So I had to turn off the super chats during ad break. Sorry about that. But I mean, is it worth $500 million? I don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe it is. If so, it's going to be interesting to see what Sony does with it as they move forward. But yeah, that was a bit of a head scratcher to me, Ryan. I'm not going to lie. Like if I heard they bought it for like 175 million, I could get it, but nearly $500 million. Anyway, Mike writes, saw Avatar in IMAX at an AMC in San Francisco, got the Odyssey clip, but no Doomsday trailer. To see it, should I try another format or a theater chain? Listen, you saw it in an AMC. I saw it in an AMC, and they did play the trailer in my AMC. It sounds to me like it's a roll of the dice. Like maybe you'll see it, maybe you won't. Yeah. Again, and we can't even blame Disney because they never said they were doing it. But I got lucky and I did see it. So the best thing I could guess is ask somebody at the theater about what screening of this would you guys be showing that Avengers trailer? That's the only thing I can think of that you would need to do. Or as Legacy of Kain is saying, just watch it on. Just watch it online. It should be, now that it's in theaters, it should be online any minute now. And there should be many bootleg copies of it already. So keep your eyes open for that. But again, that does suck, man. I'm sorry to hear that. All right. Team Caboozles writes, speaking of the best trilogies of all time, would the Knives Out trilogy make the cut? Competition for that fifth slot is tough, but I would put it in the top 10. I would also put it in the top 10, but I would not put it in the top 5. You're talking to somebody who loves the Knives Out movies. Love them. I think they're great. And I really enjoyed Wake Up Dead Man. In the conversation of top 10 trilogies, absolutely. In the conversation of the top 5, no, I don't think so. I don't think it'll be in there. Again, I adore these movies, adore them, but not in the top 5, at least not for me. All right. Thanks for that, Team Caboozle. X-Men Superfan writes, what performance or performances in Christopher Nolan films have stayed with you? That's a good one. I'm going to say one here. Okay. And I just want to get the year because I forget. I'm terrible with movie dates. Apparently it's all the way back in 2002. 2002. But it was all 3 performances. It is the least talked about Christopher Nolan film. And it's still to this day my favorite Christopher Nolan film. Insomnia, Robin Williams, Al Pacino, multi-time Academy Award winning actress Hilary Swank. All the performances in that are fantastic. And nobody ever talks about this movie. Nobody ever talks about the movie. And it's so great. And those are the ones that really stand out to me. All right. Joe Rendazzo writes, sends in a $20 super chat. Thank you, Joe, for supporting our channel on that level, man. Appreciate that, dude. And Joe writes, this whole Labubu thing really reminds me of the Kool-Aid movie from the studio. That's exactly what I thought of, man. Also, I was in your top 0.2% of your YouTube fans, always happy to spread the love. Oh, thank you for that, dude. I really appreciate that. And you're not wrong, man. This Labubu movie, for a modern and a little bit more of a throwback comparison, it sounds like something that would be a movie they're trying to make in the studio. And it also sounds like a movie they would try to make in, what's the name of the show again? Entourage. It sounds like it's something they were either trying to get made, that Vin's trying to get made in Entourage, or sounds like something that Seth Rogen's character is trying to get made in the studio. 100% that's what it sounds like, except it's actually real and it's actually happening. All right. Next up, we got Jake who writes, saw Avatar last night. High frame rate was annoying. It even kept switching frame rates during simple scenes like two people talking rather than just saving it for scene that had more motion like flying action. Listen, I got to tell you, as somebody who really enjoyed the film, that was one of the most annoying aspects of it to me. Like, I am not against high frame rate. I think there is great future for high frame rate, but I didn't think it was right for this movie. I think the high frame rate scenes really made it even look more like the live action characters, and the CG characters were exactly that. One's live action, one's CG, where when it was not in high frame rate, it blended together better. And the fact that it jumped back and forth from high frame rate scene to a non-high frame rate scene, I found that very jarring. Again, that's a technical issue, but it's one that they need to think about because it really pulled me out every single time they did. All right. Keaton writes, in John's voice, baby watch. We had the Franklin baby. We got Steve's baby. We're going to have Thor's child. Who else is next? Who knows? We will track it on Baby Watch. All right. Manuel writes, hey, John, I know you were thinking about going back to Austin for Terry Black's, but there is one in Dallas also. Yeah, I found out that there are like 3 or 4 Terry Black locations. I got to say, I think it was, I'm a sucker for barbecue. I think Terry Black's in Austin, Texas is now my favorite. And clearly there's one in Dallas as well. I think it might be my favorite barbecue I've ever had. I think it might be my favorite barbecue I've ever had. Now, I should say this though. If any of you know what it is, throw it in the live chat. I was also told, I forget the name, that there is another barbecue place in Austin, but people told me don't even bother with it though. And I'm like, why? And they said like, because the lineup for that place starts at like 7 a.m. And I'm like, that can't be real. That can't be true. Is it? Like, and then I asked around some other people in Austin, and they were like, oh yeah. That place, you got to get in line for lunch at like 6 a.m, 7 a.m. So it wasn't Terry Black's. I can't remember if some other people know what the name, some people are saying the name of the place is Franklin's. I don't remember. Yeah. Several people are saying it's Franklin's. Okay. I don't remember the name of it. Yeah. Multiple people are now saying it's Franklin's. So it's like, I am dying to try that place, but I was on the movie meetup tour. I didn't have an entire day. I could just stand around in a line for 5 hours to get this barbecue, but I'm very tempted to drive back to Austin now just to make the trip, just so I could eat at this Franklin's place. So we'll see. All right. Thanks for that, Manuel. Next up, we got Xavier Peterson who writes, I thought the Avengers spot was interestingly mid. Interesting in the ideas that it can be introduced, but mid in what we got. Yeah, I agree. I mean, yes, okay, Steve's back, yay, but if you're going to put something together that has a bit of a punch to it. And I just didn't find that it did. Again, well, I'll reserve total judgment until we see all these teaser spots come out, and then we'll evaluate it as such. But I'm just saying, it didn't take away any of my excitement for Avengers Doomsday, not at all. But I'm kind of underwhelmed by it. I'm a little bit underwhelmed, I'm not going to lie. And I'm a Marvel fan. I'm not some Marvel hater, but I was underwhelmed by it, to be honest. All right. Next up, The Viewpoint writes, Daniel RPK is saying fourth trailer isn't a trailer. Well, no one ever said it was, other than unreliable leakers and everything, but no one ever said it was, just to be clear. All right. Attack of the Mushi writes, should we have had phases 4 and 5 Avengers films? Here's the thing. And I've been saying this ever since the AMC days. The phases aren't real. Right? The phases actually aren't real. They're just arbitrary labels they give certain segments of films, but really they don't really mean anything. So they have not been there. They've seriously just simply not been ready to do another Avengers film with the films that we've had since Endgame. They just haven't been ready for one. And they are now. So I'm fine that we haven't had an Avengers film since 2019. I'm okay with that. And as far as trying to fit it in with what phases are just fake made up numbers to just kind of identify time blocks. Honestly, they never really meant anything. They never really did. All right. Next up, we've got Joe, who sends in a $20 super chat. Thank you, Joe, for that. Appreciate it, dude. Your doom theory regarding children has one flaw. Vecna did it first. That's not a flaw at all. That's like saying, Pennywise did it first. Long before Vecna, by the way. That's like saying the Krampus did it first. Well, okay, yeah, but did any of them do it for the same reason? So Doom may be going around. Again, this is just a theory. It's probably wrong. I'm just basing this purely on speculation. But I'm just saying, if Dr. Doom is going around and like specifically taking kids, the difference between like that and like say Pennywise or Vecna or the Krampus or whatever is, why is he doing it? And that would be the interesting thing. It's like, okay, so it's cool to say that Doom is stealing kids, but that's not nearly as interesting as why would he be taking kids? And that's what I would be kind of focused on. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. It isn't the most original thing. It's not the most original thing, granted, but it would be interesting to see what the why is behind it. You know what I mean? Anyway, thanks for that, Joe. Appreciate it, man. Next up, World Gameplay writes, in India, we didn't get the teaser, CHQ Indian Times. Now, here's the thing. There were a lot of theaters in America that people didn't get it either. So did they not play it in India at all? Or like the United States, did it just not play in all of the theaters? So I'd be curious to see how that worked out. All right. Last super chat of the day. What was, in your opinion, the best musical number of Singing in the Rain? Listen, it's been so long since I've seen Singing in the Rain. I can barely remember the movie. I mean, I do remember the movie. I barely remember the movie. It's just been too long. So the only one that I can even remember off the top of my head, because we're talking a long time, is just the Singing in the Rain number itself. All right, guys, listen. I still got a little bit of time here. So this is what I'm going to do. Let's see. Why can't I get this to work? Oh, there we go. Okay, so I'm going to take just a couple of minutes here to take questions from you guys in the live chat. So if you have a question for me, you see what I just wrote in the live chat? We're having all capital letters, question, colon. If you have a question for me, go ahead and throw it on in there. I'm not going to answer them all. I'm just going to cherry pick a couple out. So don't get mad if I don't pick yours. And we'll take a couple. All right. First up, we've got, why can I not get this to pop up on the screen? Okay, here we go. First up, sorry, the screen is popping where we go. We got Eron writes, are you going to see Avatar to watch the Odyssey prologue? No. I'm not going to go. I mean, I might go to see Avatar again. And if I do, maybe I'll try to make sure I see it in an IMAX screen. So I do, but I'm not going to specifically go back just so I can see the prologue. Like the prologue will pop up online at some point. But if I do end up going back to watch Avatar again, I'll try to make sure it's in an IMAX screen so that I can see it, but I'm not going to specifically go to see Avatar again just to see the prologue. So that's, I hope if that's what you're asking, hopefully I answered that right. Let's see. Jay writes, do you think Cameron will continue with Avatar 4 and 5 if it is 1.5 billion worldwide? Yeah. Even if it's 1 billion worldwide, even if it's 900 million worldwide, even if it's 3 billion worldwide. Yes, I do. I absolutely do think Cameron, I don't know James Cameron, so I can't say definitively, but my guess would be yes, he's absolutely going to continue on with those. Let's see. Question, what's more likely? We see Hugh Jackman or Tobey Maguire in the Doomsday trailer? I honestly don't think either, because I don't think either of them are in the movie. But I think the person with the higher chance of being in the movie is Tobey Maguire. So if I have to say one, I will say Tobey Maguire. Let's see. This one. Marcus Y writes, will there be shows over the next 2 weeks? Yep. Going to be a show every day. Probably not a show on Christmas Day. I will probably allow myself to take Christmas Day off, but there will be shows. Yeah, absolutely. Shows will be running as normal. I mean, one or two of them might start at different times. Like today, we started the show early because I have to hit the road. But yes, there are going to be shows pretty much every day. So yeah, keep your eyes open for that. Let's see. Isaiah's writing, what do you think the Doomsday runtime will be? We talked about this the other day. My guess is 2.5 to 2 hours and 45 minutes. I don't think they're going to hit the 3 hour mark. So my guess will be 2.5 hours to 2 hours and 45 minutes. That's my guess of where it's going to drop. Damish writes, any benefit at all to Netflix buying Warner Brothers? Yeah, we just talked about this yesterday. Now, again, I'm not fully on board with it yet. I still have my apprehensions, but there is some potential. I mean, it might not, but there's some potential upside. One of the things that could be really good is that I've been saying for years that the movie industry needs to get back to the older system of the life cycle of a movie. Starts in theaters. That's where it gets its birth, off theaters for a while, and then introduced in home video, whether home video was VHS, DVD, Blu-ray, and now, of course, streaming. And that was very successful and lucrative. That life cycle for a movie was very, very lucrative. If Netflix establishes for the whole industry that real pattern of taking Warner Brothers films, them doing their full theatrical traditional release, which they're saying they're going to do, and then having them be off for a while, and then having a life cycle of moving into streaming and then blowing up on streaming. If they can do that and establish that for the whole industry to copy, it could be a very good thing. Maybe. You don't know for sure, but maybe. All right. Haniel writes, do you think Henry Cavill will be the next James Bond? Absolutely not. I thought for a long time there was a chance. I would love my boy Henry to be the new James Bond. I think he should be the new James Bond. But from everything that we're hearing, it sounds like they're bringing James Bond back to the beginning. So with that, essentially, that's just another way of saying they're going to look for a younger Bond. Henry is now in his 40s, which, I mean, obviously he's awesome and he looks great, all that kind of stuff. But if you're wanting to say you're starting with a James Bond very early in his career, late 20s, at most early 30s, and somebody who can be James Bond for 10, 15 years, it sounds like they're looking for somebody younger than what Henry is. So I don't think they're going to go with Henry, which is unfortunate, but I get it. Let's see. Very important question. Still Bill writes, crunchy or soft tacos? I'm a soft taco guy. I like, I don't like corn tortillas. I won't eat anything if it's corn tortillas. I prefer flour tortillas, actually, which is totally opposite from most people I know, but that is me. Let's see here. I'll take one more. I'm trying to find a good one to make the last one for the day. Mr. Bagel Bandit writes, was Superman better than Fantastic Four? Yes. I really enjoyed Fantastic Four, by the way. I mean, in a world right now where a lot of Marvel projects don't quite hit the mark, I thought Fantastic Four was pretty good. You know, it's fun because there were two Marvel movies in a row that I actually ended up really liking. Thunderbolts, which I thought was better, and Fantastic Four. But yes, I think Superman was better than Fantastic Four, even though I quite liked Fantastic Four. But Thunderbolts was actually my favorite comic book movie of the year. Like, I loved Superman, but I also really loved Thunderbolts. So there's that. All right, guys. And that'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show. Thank you so much for being here and hanging out with me a little bit today. I really appreciate it. And listen, I'm totally aware that you guys have a lot of things you could be doing with your time. And the fact that you guys choose to spend some of your time with us here means a lot to me. And I really appreciate it very, very much. So thank you. Also, big thank you to all you guys who sent in the super chats. Number one, because you gave us great fun things to talk about. But number two, you supported our channel as you did it. And everybody involved with our channel, thanks you guys so very much for your support. All right, guys, don't forget, on Sunday, we will be doing our Avatar open spoiler discussion. So if you want to talk about the new Avatar Fire and Ash movie in a full open spoiler-filled environment, make sure you come back and join us for that on Sunday. All right, guys, that will do it for me for today. Thank you so much for being here. My name's John Campea, and until next time, my friends, bye-bye.